Hello, this is Jim for the Monopoly Project. We're here to do one of our floating book reviews again. We're on the Monopoly Project yacht. Every successful real estate mogul has a yacht, and unfortunately it's a Bikini Girl's day off today, so it's just me. But today we're going to be reviewing a financial book. The title of the book is How to Create a Real Estate Money Machine and Retire with Income by Michael Douville. Michael Douville has a website where he sells books and videos on how to buy real estate and achieve financial independence, very much like the Monopoly Project, except he started way before us. He started in the 1980s. For example, one of the examples from his book or video was he bought a house in Phoenix in 1984 for $44,000, and he still has it. So Michael's is the real deal. He's not somebody who pretends to have done all these things and then just to sell you books and videos. He actually did it, and he's still doing it. So I was going to show you a copy of the book, but this is the book. It's because it's a PDF. It's $5.99 on his website. There is a paper version, a real book version, but I bought the PDF, and he didn't charge me. So Michael, if you're watching this, I owe you $5.99, but I'm not going to pay for shipping and handling for an ebook. So there is a new updated version coming. This version that I read apparently was written in 2015, according to the last references in there. So I got the video from our real estate agent, the Monopoly Project real estate agent, Jeff Sutherland. I guess he knows Michael, and he thinks he's a really good guy. So he sent me his video. I saw his video, and I really liked what I saw. So I got the PDF book and like it also. So I do recommend it. I agree with his general philosophy and plan. There's just some specific comments that I'm going to go over. So you can see I have a lot of notes. I'm just going to hit some of the highlights. One of the reasons why I liked what he said right off was because he said wealth allows for problems to be split. Those that can be solved with money become expenses. Those that cannot be solved with money are real problems. And if you remember my floating book review of Not Fade Away by Peter Barton, he made that comment. His characterization was, if a problem can be solved with money, it's not a problem, and I think that's absolutely true. So I think we're in tune with the general philosophy of life and of investing, investing primarily in real estate, because you have better control and better returns if you use leverage correctly and wisely. So, and it says that on page 12 of the PDF. He says, I certainly do not advocate the complete avoidance of stock ownership, but as an income source, it has its limitations. And he's absolutely right about that. That in general, when you're buying stocks, you get no income. You're betting completely on the appreciation. In the old days, they had income producing stocks, but those are largely a thing of the past. So, and this is where I get the idea that at least the PDF version I have is written in 2015, because he says about bond market conditions, he says rates around the world have been declining for 30 years and historically low, and the cycle has changed, and they'll begin to rise over the next decade. And here we are at 2021, and we're still in an incredibly low rate. So and then again, here's another thing that I really liked on page 14. And again, remember, this is 2015. He says several markets across the U.S. will represent huge buying opportunities. Phoenix, Austin, Denver, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston in particular. I strongly believe in the greatest real estate bull market in my lifetime is coming. And so I got to give Michael credit. He called that one. So, you know, if you do it in print, you can brag about it. So one of the things he said that I didn't particularly agree with is on page 21, he says he gets 30 years loans, but he says I accelerate the principal reduction by adding a portion of the rental increases each year to the payment in the form of principal reduction. By adding one extra payment per year for a 30-year loan will pay it off in 18 years, saving thousands of dollars in interest. Many variations exist, but the strategy is the same: reduce debt as quickly as possible to establish free and clear properties. The reason why I'm not sure I agree with it, I understand what he's saying, and I understand that this is primarily more a human reaction than an optimum financial situation. But in an optimum financial situation, if you can borrow money at 3.5% like now, and use it to buy assets that are appreciating at 6, 12, or even 18% a year, you should put all your money, free cash, into buying more assets, not paying down debt that you can make a lot more money with that. And I understand that this strategy on a single house at a time sort of makes sense. But again, if prices are appreciating, you're better off using that borrowed money rather than paying off a 3.5% loan. But it's one of the few things that I even had a mild disagreement with his strategy and plan. On page 32, he says, I try to buy at the bottom of the sales range, as all properties age differently and are all unique, but particularly so in production subdivisions. He says, the thing I liked about all that is that he doesn't talk about buying at a 20% discount, which a lot of the other real estate gurus tell you, always buy at a 20% discount. And you know how I feel about that. If I could continually buy properties at a 20% discount from the real market value, then I wouldn't be here doing these things. I'd be out buying every single one I could and selling it the next day for a 10% discount, right? Here is a strategy, and this is page 35. And he says, I buy excellent, well-located properties that will appreciate. And again, that's one of my Monopoly project. In fact, it's the first also. I intend to keep them forever until they are no longer appreciating. I agree with that if you define forever as 7 to 10 years. When it makes sense to sell them and to use the increased equity to get something bigger. 3, he buys 3 or 4 bedroom houses with 2 or more baths, with covered parking. Again, I agree with that. You want that sweet spot, 3 to 4 bedrooms that most small families or large families will be attracted to. Okay, we're going under the bridge here. So I buy single family homes with backyards in areas that are primarily owner occupied. Again, I'd like to do that, but of course it's hard to control for investors who are buying for rental, like ourselves, like myself and Michael. So that I buy homes where the amenity package is excellent. I think that maps into my comment about HOAs. They're a necessary evil, but one that actually gives you some advantage is a good thing. I need cash flow. That's a tough one. In this market in Phoenix now, it's really hard to make cash flow unless you put 25 or more % down. And then you're making your cash flow basically on your down. So he says, I do not buy properties on or backing commercial streets, shopping areas, or location problems like airports and noise. And again, that's good. Buying a good subdivision in the middle. Don't be near problem areas. You generally do not buy condos and townhouses. The homeowner station fees are way out of my control and certainly increase. And again, that's right on what little I've seen of the HOAs in condos. They're much higher than single family homes, and basically there are no amenities. And I generally do not buy 1 and 2 bedroom houses. I agree with that also, because it just appeals to a much smaller demographic of the renter market. He says I do buy fix-up, Rio short scales, and so on and so forth. I've never gotten into that. I think he's had enough experience and gone through enough real estate cycles where that makes sense. When he sees something in that kind of cycle, he can just grab it, given his experience and previous record. And then on page 36, he sort of quantifies this. He says, as a rule of thumb, in today's current interest rate and tax rate, we need $1,100 for a $160,000 house. And again, remember, this is 2015. And so I took a look at the 2 Monopoly project houses that we have bought. The one we bought in June of 2019 It was 197,900 purchase, so that would, according to his formula, that would imply a $1,360 rent. We actually rented it for $1,300, and so that's pretty close. That's within 5%. The house we just bought on 29th Avenue, we paid $246. So if you scale that one, he says it should be $1,691, almost $1,700. Sherman just rented it for $1,425. And again, I think that the difference there is the market in Phoenix is so hot now that you just can't get the kind of returns that Michael was used to in the past. And then on page 38, again, he says, I cannot buy a great property at a great price every day or every week, not every time, but can always buy it 97% or less, which results in a 13% gain. Again, I'm not quite sure how you buy below market in this kind of market, but that's fine. And then he goes on to say this strategy is for the investor typically in the first plateau of wealth, which is generally under 3 million. And again, he says, as the financing currently recommended in 2015 is a boring 30-year fixed, fully amortized loan. He goes on, so historical rates and so on. So he's just making the point that you can get really good financing in 2015, and even now, in fact, now it's even better than in 2015. And then he talking about finding tenants, he said too easy, tenants are plentiful and more entering the market every day. And I think he's right. Of course, we're using Sherman of Crest Premier Property Management to manage our properties, but we also own other properties that we rent ourselves, and it is very easy to find tenants in this day and age. So that's sort of an overview of the book. And the one final thing I really liked on page 50 of the book, he's talking about lifestyle, and one of the things he does emphasize is lifestyle, and all of the world is not just financial. Everything's not financially driven. You should be spending time with your family. And I guess he says at the beginning of the book that he bought a condo or a beach house in Australia, and every year the family goes there for 4 months, and that sounds like a spectacular lifestyle. But he says on page 50, consider purchasing a vacation home that can be used by all the family members. And that's an outstanding idea. I thought about it. We actually bought a cabin in Payson, about 90 miles from here in the mountains on a river. And so I guess we actually did what he suggested. It's not overseas. It's not in Australia or New Zealand. And so I thought about it, and that's an interesting comment. And of course you could rent that out also. So what do I think about the book and Michael Douville? The book is definitely worth it if you're thinking about doing a Monopoly project, or if you're interested in what it would take. I think it's a very true to life summary of what Michael has done over the last 4+ years. And there's not a lot of math. It's not a detailed strategy like you see a lot of these books with checklists and this and that. If you want to do that, I'm pretty sure Michael has that on his website. You can go to his website, Michael Douville, all one word, .com, and I'll put that on the video. I'll put that as text on the video, and a phone number too. So in any case, like I said, I really enjoyed the book. I like the guy. Jeff said that Jeff has been in touch with him. Jeff said that maybe later we can go talk to him, and I'm really looking forward to that. So anyway, the book is How to Create a Real Estate Money Machine and Retire with Income by Michael Douville. And so if you want to take a look at it, that's where it is. And this is Jim signing off from the Monopoly Project. Thank you very much.